We started by passing substantive ethics reform. Remember how we got here. The voters of Broward County, you said that you wanted ethics reform. So you had each of us pick someone to form an ethics commission. I'm a Democrat. I've told you from the beginning, whether you're a Republican or an independent or a Democrat, I represent you. So I put a Republican on the ethics commission to bring a different view. They were a very independent group. They came together and they did what they thought was best. And they made major changes. I said it earlier in my opening. Originally, the only time I had to disclose a conversation with a lobbyist was when that lobbyist was in my office. Now, if that lobbyist talks to me outside my office, I have to disclose it and fill out a form. Earlier, I could take breakfast, lunch, or dinners under Florida law, up to $100. Now, I can't take anything. It's called transparency. See, I don't think that all politicians are bad. I think most of them are good. I don't think everybody in the construction industry is bad. I think most of them are good. I don't think all teachers are bad. I think most of them are good. But every so often you have bad people. One of them, I don't think all lawyers are bad. Maybe more
thank you.
Than usual. But every so often you have somebody. Did I ever think in a million years that I would be sitting next to somebody who was a money launderer? No, I know these two guys better than I even knew him because I never spent any time with him. But we need to bring back trust. And that's what we're doing with this ethics ordinance. And you know what? It is substantive. It's not just something that's been put out there to placate you all, notwithstanding what my opponent has said to the contrary.
Okay, next.
Looks like Chris Chiari.
Looks like it.
I am keeping my eye on the agendas that are coming in front of the County Commission. In the last meeting, there was yet another small but subtle change to the ethics reform that they passed on the 10th of August. It's called death by 1,000 changes. If we constantly change the ethics reform at every single commission meeting, eventually they're going to water it down to the point where it doesn't exist anymore. It needs to be about transparency. It needs to be a shift about who gets access. I'm going to make a guarantee. They always say, as a candidate, never make a promise. I'm going to make a promise. Everyone in this district is less than 15 miles from the government center. So when you, a resident, call for a meeting, you're going to have it within 24 hours. And if that means I get in my car and I drive to your house and I give you a house call, you're less than 15 miles away. I'll just stop at your house on the way home. Because until we get back to people having access, until we get back to having elected officials who will look through this agenda and ask questions from the dais and stand up against these subtle changes week after week after week, what kind of ethics reform are we going to have? I also think, and one of the things I plan on doing, is have a staffer, and what we're going to do is go back and look at every vendor who does business with the county, find out who wrote a check, find out who their lobbyist was, and attach that on the backup of every contract that comes in front of the commission. Not to expose anyone, but to make sure that you have an easy place, one-stop shopping, to go, look, and see. So you can ask the question, who gets access ahead of me? Who's sitting in my commissioner's office, and how much did they give? That's transparency. We haven't gone far enough on ethics reform. What they did was a start. They're changing it, watering it down. It needs to be built on.
Some really good points there, Mr. Chiari, but I do remember how we got here. We got here by a lot of embarrassing actions, and I want to read a quote from the Sun Sentinel. Corruption in Broward County is not as bad as the public thinks. That's what our county mayor said in January. Yet Chief Judge Victor Tobin, when he decided what to do with Diana Wasserman-Rubin's case, decided to send it to Miami-Dade because there was a perception in Broward County that all government is corrupt. That's Chief Judge in Broward County. That's pretty embarrassing. You know, our mayor takes a champion of ethics position on this ethics issue, and they spent the last 6 months, the whole group, trying to derail ethics, trying to send it to the courts, watering it down as we just heard, and with regard to you know, where we are with this, we have ethics reform because we had to. They had no choice. This wasn't something that they championed or wanted to do. Florida is Broward County, I'm sorry, is the laughing stock of this state because of what's happened. It was Palm Beach before, and maybe it'll be Miami-Dade next, but we need to stop what's going on here right now. We have 2 commissioners who are arrested. We have 2 who are under investigation that we know of, and maybe more. The bottom line is here, people, you can look at Lighthouse Point. I know you made a comment about the fish kind study, but the fish kind study was commissioned by the Broward Workshop. The number he gave you is absolutely incorrect. I have a lot of Lighthouse Point residents here, even on his team, that would probably debate that because they know the taxes are in good shape there. With respect to ethics, they did sign that. And they went right to the Ritter Amendment, okay? The Ritter Amendment was where they watered it down. I like to say neuter it, but that's beside the point. It's not reform, because you're going to vote. They voted for that ethics reform, and you're going to get 3 amendments on the county ballot, and they're all just like some of the other amendments are going to sound nice, warm, and fuzzy. And I'm going to tell you the truth, because third row back here is my uncle is a Catholic priest, and I can't lie in front of him. So I appreciate you keeping an eye on ethics, and keep reading the papers, because they got a good eye on things.
Second.